The house was quiet the evening Elias packed his coat, his papers, and the plain silver watch he had worn for 20 years. He moved with the careful speed of a man who had rehearsed his departure in private for months. In the kitchen, Mara stood by the sink with her hands wet and still, listening to the sound of drawers opening and closing upstairs. Their son Jonas sat at the table, staring at a school notebook that no longer held his attention. Elias did not shout. That would have been easier to survive. He spoke in the calm voice he used with clients, explaining that the offer from the city was final, that the promotion would secure their future, that sacrifices always looked cruel before they looked wise. He said he would send money, that he would visit when he could, that this was not abandonment but responsibility. Mara laughed once, without humor, and asked him whether prosperity had become a second family. Elias did not answer. He folded a shirt into his bag with the same care he once used when laying a blanket over a feverish child. Jonas heard the zipper close and understood, with the brutal clarity of a child, that dignity could be a mask for cowardice. The first months after he left were filled with practical failure. Bills arrived more often than apologies. The refrigerator began to sound louder. Mara took extra shifts and learned how to stretch meals into 3 days. Jonas stopped asking when his father was coming back, because each answer brought a new wound. On Sundays, the church bells moved through the neighborhood like a memory everyone had agreed not to discuss. Elias prospered quickly. His name appeared in emails, then in articles, then on a glass plaque in a lobby with polished floors and no family photographs. He bought a larger apartment and sent gifts that arrived wrapped too neatly, as if a ribbon could replace presents. Jonas accepted one expensive watch and left it in a drawer. Mara sent no reply. Years passed. Jonas grew into a man with his father's hands and none of his confidence. He learned to read silence in other people's homes. He loved carefully, then mistrusted himself for loving at all. When he was asked about his father, he said only that the man had chosen a different life. The sentence was true and incomplete, which was how the damage had been made. Then, on a winter night, Elias returned unannounced. His success had thinned into illness, and the careful voice had softened into something almost uncertain. He stood in the doorway holding a small cardboard box of old photographs, office awards, and one cracked frame containing the 3 of them at a beach he could barely remember. He said he had come home because he was finally ready to understand what he had lost. No one moved to help him with the box. Mara looked at the photographs and did not take them. Jonas studied his father's face and saw, at last, not authority, but exhaustion. The room was full of what might have been forgiveness if time had not already spent it. Elias began to speak of regret, but regret was only another word for the aftertaste of choice. The family listened in silence, not because they were unsure, but because some absences grow so deep that even return cannot fill them.